What's up, YouTube? This is A.R.M, and this is my review of Arrow Season 2, Episode 3. Okay, I have my notes here. They're a little bit everywhere, so I'm pretty much just going to do a character by character, sort of a scene by scene type analysis. Not in perfect chronological order, but here we go. Okay, I'd like to start off by saying this show has gotten really good since last season. I felt I missed out on Smallville, but I'm making up for it by watching Arrow. This show, it really feels like you're looking at a good representation of a comic book brought to TV show. It's just as good as watching a Batman TV show, actually, because of the character interactions, the fantasy aspect. Everything's there that you need. Plus, there's good writing, good action, good storytelling, good character development. It's just that Arrow's really going to take off. I'm glad I'm in on the show from the beginning. There was a lot of different things going on in this episode as well. One of them being Black Canary. She made an appearance where last week's episode left off, where Arrow was being arrested, or he was about to be arrested by the agents that Laurel had set him up to be arrested by. You know, they came out with their guns, they had the sights on him, they're about to shoot him. He had his arrow out. It looked like it was the end for him. But out comes Black Canary, and what she did next was pretty much answers, I think, some questions. She took out a small round device, held it up, and it let out an ultrasonic cry. So it was sort of a canary's cry. That being, she might not have the actual metahuman abilities to do the canary cry from her own mouth, but seeing as how they don't really give people superpowers in this TV show, not yet at least, it's a good alternative. So the beginning of the episode, Arrow was saved by Black Canary with a canary cry. They jumped out the window. They made their escape. He was asking, who are you? And she pretty much just disappeared into the night, jumped up the fire escape. She's really acrobatic. Last week I said I thought this was going to be Laurel, but it wouldn't make any sense, and it can't possibly be Laurel anyway because she was in a room with Black Canary. I do feel, however, this will have to be Dinah, his first girlfriend that supposedly died on the ship in the first season when he was marooned on an island. So the villain in this episode was Barton Mathis, aka Dollmaker. The detectives were finding these young girls around Starling City. They were pretty much up on a doll-like harness. Their body was filled with some kind of chemical. They hardened, and their skin was in perfect condition. So this is an actual comic book villain. I looked him up. Barton Mathis, aka Dollmaker. This is a sick guy. Quentin Laurel, the detective who is now a beat cop, he had a personal vendetta against Dollman back when so many years ago. He put him away. Being the father of two girls, he definitely took that case very seriously. He took it seriously again once Barton made his escape. He escaped because of the bombs going off in the prison, lack of security, so he was able to escape when Starling City or the Glades had their major disaster. Detective Lance, oddly enough, like I said, character development. He's coming to trust Arrow more now in this show, sort of as a Commissioner Gordon-like character. He actually contacted Felicity on her line to request a meeting with Arrow because he needed Arrow's help in catching Barton Mathis. He swallowed his pride. Last season he spearheaded the main campaign to get the Arrow off the streets, but now that he's a beat cop and he needs those resources, he's really seeing that the Arrow is there to help the city. The Arrow is not as lethal as he used to be. He's helped him, and he's helped his daughter a few times. So now I can see that Arrow has a new alliance on the side of the law, which is good. That's always an interesting dynamic between a hero and a villain, or heroes and their police counterparts. On the island, something interesting happened on the flashback scene. Um, Slade, aka Deathstroke, and Arrow, Oliver Queen, uh, they found a dead Chinese soldier body. So they left the girl Shadow there to examine the body while they checked out the rest of the island. Uh, at one point, Slade was about to fall to his death, but Oliver helped him. And then once he helped him up, they looked over the cliff and they saw in the harbor was a ship. Um, Interesting enough, the ship was named Amazo. Doctor Ivo's robot was called Amazo in DC Comics. So I don't know if that was just paying homage or it can, lead to some storyline in the future. But the ship started to fire on the island. It was firing these large missiles. They were setting these fires. Queen and Slade tried to outrun the missiles. They couldn't. Queen wound up getting knocked unconscious by one of the blasts, and Slade, half his body was on fire. Queen was able to see that before he passed out. So that can lead more into Slade's origin. Who knows? Slade could still be behind everything. You can't trust this guy. It could just be a test. He's a sick man. He probably put them on the island. So that was interesting in the flashback scene, and then eventually when they went back to the flashback scene, Queen came to in some sort of prison within the ship. Uh, Slade was nowhere to be found, but like I said, we can't trust him. He's probably behind it, or he might become a turncoat. We know in the comic books he gouged out his own eye. He uses 90% of his brain mass. He has Captain America-like reflexes with a super soldier-like serum. So let's see the origins of Slade in this TV show, how they're going to make that play out. Moira Queen, a.k.a. Oliver's mother, and also his sister's mother, Thea. They showed a few parts with her. She's preparing for her court trial with the DA. The DA is seeking the death penalty, which was a bit of a shocker because of the 352, I think they said, some odd deaths from the disaster in the Glades. Also, when Moira was consulting with her lawyer later in the episode, she figured that she didn't want them to dig any deeper to try to save her from death because there's more she's not telling them. She wasn't merely under Merlin's thumb, so she may have to implicate some more people. The storyline with that is going to get deeper and deeper as well. As I said, there's a lot going on in this episode. And then Arrow contacted Roy, and he asked Roy to help him find the Black Canary, or the Masked Woman. Roy used his connections on the street, and he found that one girl named Sin. Side note: Sin is a character in the comic book as well, a character that the Black Canary took on a bit of a mother role to, and brought her to the Birds of Prey. And the Birds of Prey kind of tucked them under their wings, no pun intended. And so, as you can see, they're definitely incorporating real comic book characters, real subtle relations. And later on in the episode, Detective Lance, him and Felicity, Diggles, and Arrow, they set up a scene of Felicity buying some of that skin cream that makes the girls' skin feel like dolls. They knew that Bart Mathis would try to, apprehend her, so they pretty much set him up. He fell for the bait. He was Detective Lance pursued him. They got into a bit of a fight, but then Arrow came in to kind of save the day a bit. He was about to shoot him actually. Barton was about to shoot Detective Lance. That was an interesting scene. But eventually Barton got away. Arrow turned his head for a second, and Barton pulled the Batman. Then the rest of the police force showed up, and they had to they had to arrest Detective Lance because he was told to stay away from this case. So his daughter Laurel, being a DA, she used all of her pull to get him released into police custody, out of jail. As they were leaving the police station, they had a bit of an argument. They went back and forth, but then they were leaving the police station. Then Barton Matthews had knocked out Detective Lance. He had already knocked out Laurel, kidnapped them both, had them in the lair. He had Laurel hooked up to the little, some sort of table-like device to hold her body up like a mad scientist, and he was going to fill her body with that lucite stuff. And Arrow was able to track them down, and he saved the day at the last minute as usual in a superhero fashion. And just as Arrow was about, Black Canary showed up at this scene as well. Bart Matthews made a getaway from Arrow. He wasn't completely out of Arrow's sight, but then he was pursued by Black Canary as well. She put up a fight. Bart Matthews, aka the doll maker, was able to throw some or trick her into a position so he can drop some beams on her. The beams fell on her. She was down, but then out comes Arrow, saves the day. He pinned him down with 2 arrows, was about to kill him, but then she puts a stab through him, and by the time Arrow looks back, Black Canary's gone. So there goes Doll Man, or Doll Maker. The episode ended with back at the lair with back at Black Canary's lair. It looks like some sort of a church house tower. But while she's in her lair, somebody appears. It looks like a ninja. Obviously, an Asian guy in disguise had pursued her and followed her to Starling City. She says, "I'm not going back." It looks like she was part of an organization in her past. She's telling them, "I'm not going back. Just tell them you can't find me." The soldier or the ninja pulls out a knife and says, "I can't do that." She quickly turns the knife around, stabs him with it, and that's how the episode ends. Interesting. This show is getting good. Another interesting note: they played a little preview, or stay tuned for the preview of Thor: Dark World during CW's Arrow. CW, Arrow, Warner Brothers, DC, Thor: Dark World, Marvel Comics. Hell, I think at this point, regardless of them being competing comic book companies, they just want to make the most money they can, right? But I thought that was interesting. So, yeah, this week's Arrow was definitely a really good episode. I'm excited about this show. Next week's preview looked just as good. My thoughts on Black Canary: it will have to be Dinah if they're going to stay in tune with the comic book. And I'm not salty at all that she doesn't have a metahuman ability to do the Canary Cry. I think it was pretty cool the way she pulled out the device and she sent the sonic waves. Who knows? Maybe that device may get implanted in her somehow, and who knows? So that's it. That's my review for Arrow Season 2, Episode 3. Thank you for checking out my video. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And check out my next video. Peace.